When your FM station goes off the FM dial, where does one go? We'll find out tonight on Whiskey Business. Hi, everybody. I'm Dino Tripodis. Welcome to Whiskey Business, the podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey. Here we sit again out in my backyard bar, The Pond, safe distancing out in the fresh air tonight after our governor, as John Whitney told me earlier, gave us a stern talking to. Stern talking
Yes.
to as to what needs to happen here in Ohio. And I'm not making fun of the governor. He said some actually legitimate things. Shit's out of control, which is why we're outside in the open air. Only 4 of us, no more than 4. This is not a social gathering. This is a social media gathering for the podcast.
Dad jokes.
And, dad jokes. And this might be the last one we do out in the pond because we've been very fortunate in November to have some decent weather. If we would have recorded last night, oh my God, last night was just
Glorious.
What you combined the all the seasons in a very
Yes.
eloquent speech prior to us recording. You said it was a little bit of summer mixed in with fall, mixed in with spring. You know, it was a lovely,
Glorious.
glorious. That was
Glorious,
the word.
yes.
Glorious. As is our guest tonight, a return guest. First of all, a long time friend and owner and president of a CD 102.5.
Well, it's now WWCD.
WWCD. There's a lot of questions, and for those of you who are listening to the podcast, that's not on FM anymore. Where is it? Well, we're going to tell you where it is because things, man. COVID's just affected everything, everything. So and I picked this bottle tonight for a reason. We've had the Redemption High Rye, but we've not had the Redemption Straight Bourbon Whiskey. And when we get into our tale of where things are with Randy and his glorious radio station, if anybody is going to eventually, before it's all said and done, have his redemption, it would be Randy Malloy. So this was an emotional choice
Yes. Well, thank
of whiskey
you.
for this evening.
Right.
And it's pretty good, too. For those of you who like a little bit of information, this is 84 proof. It's really high in corn. It's got a really high, about 75% corn, which gives it a nice, smooth,
As are we.
almost, I picked up vanilla right out of the gate on this one. Some smooth drinking for less than $25 a bottle. So, in these tough financial times, if you still got to get your whiskey on, yeah, it's a COVID world, and I'm just drinking it. This would be a fine choice. So this is our guest bottle, our 149th bottle, boys.
We're almost there.
We're approaching another milestone.
What is that? Is that the silver? What's
150.
the what's that?
150.
The,
I don't
the
even know
gold,
what 150 is. I don't know
silver,
what's
the platinum.
I have no idea. Hi, Randy.
Hi, Dino.
How are you, man?
I'm all right. We're outdoors.
Yeah, we're outdoors.
It's November.
I
It's not
put
bad.
I put up a lame heat source
Yes,
to cast somewhat of a heat glow.
Well,
on you.
if you need some assistance in a winterization enclosure
Yeah.
that we could make for this, I would be happy to lend some of my, mad construction expertise skills.
Yeah,
And we could...
as long as you don't break your leg again.
Well, that sort of brings it to the first subject of, I'm like a cat. I always land on my feet, even though occasionally I break a leg.
Yeah, right.
Because,
Yeah.
I literally fell off a ladder, landed on my feet, and broke my leg a year ago.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I think.
But, that healed fine.
I think the Russians deducted points off.
They
your,
did.
Off your
They
landing
did.
on
I
that
did not
one.
stick the landing.
You did not
No.
stick it.
No, I did not.
Well, I'm glad you're on the mend, leg
Oh,
wise.
I'm completely mended. or amended.
I
No
wanna talk
dancings, regardless.
about- Last
No
time you
dancing.
were on the show, we had a great conversation about so many things, and I said the next time you come back, I wanted to talk about some of the amazing guests that because we touched upon it a little bit when you were here the last time. We said we would do a more expansive edition of that. That's not going to be tonight. That's not going to be.
That'll be the next time.
Maybe the next time.
All right.
The next time. Something tragic happened here, and it's something that's not just happening or has happened here in Columbus, Ohio. It's happening all across the country. Long-established radio stations are leaving. They're off the FM frequency and going either gone or, in your case, going someplace else to continue what they do. So talk to me like I'm 7, okay, and explain to me exactly the path that we went down to where it was breaking news that CD 102 was going to quit transmitting on the FM dial, and then where it went to immediately from there. And I just want to hear the whole story. I mean,
Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, radio as a whole. I mean, right now, unfortunately, radio is going through a sea change. iHeart, Live Nation, iHeart. They're the largest owner of radio in the planet. Entercom's right behind them, and the problem is that one of the things they're doing is cutting people left and right, and they're literally eviscerating local and removing DJs and programmers and everything else. And
people are doubling up on shifts.
well, absolutely. Well, they're not even more so. I mean, it looks like John Malone of Liberty, which is who owns Sirius XM, is going to wind up purchasing iHeart. There was a couple of changes that happened, like the FCC. There was a thing called the Home Office Rule. The Home Office Rule meant that any radio station that was broadcasting had to have and maintain a public file in the city of license or their broadcast license area. So you had a person, a secretary, and a file. That got rescinded a couple of years ago, and this year it went into effect. So now you don't have to even live in the same state as the radio station you operate. And you don't have to have a person even there running the radio station. It could be anywhere. So I could have a radio station in California and run it from Columbus, Ohio.
okay.
So that changed the rules, and it's allowing some of the conglomerates to be bigger, and it hurts some of the smaller operators because the economy of scale.
The overhead is down.
Right. Well, the economy of scale, I need to have a traffic person, not beep, beep, honk, honk traffic, but traffic meaning they have to know where the commercials go and those things. And I have to have a program director, and I have to have a sales manager and operations. And if I had 5 stations, I could have a traffic manager for 5 stations and sales manager for 5 stations. And you can, amortize that over a bunch of people. But the problem being is that I'm just one. Right. And a lot of these smaller stations are one. And we don't have the ability to amortize over this greater platform. But anyway, I digress. I'm good at that. So radio in itself is going through a sea change, nationwide. In our case, we are. When I became the owner, quote unquote, air quotes, of the radio station, I purchased the intellectual property from CD 101, which moved to, the frequency stays the same, but the assets of what it broadcast moved to the Ohio State University, and it became classical music. So we just shifted our brand of CD 101 onto a different frequency of CD 1025.
Right.
Which was originally 101 was a tower that was in Grove City, Ohio. So that was considered our city of license, was Grove City, Columbus.
Right.
When we moved to 1025, the tower is actually in Baltimore, Ohio, Carroll, Ohio.
Okay.
Up on Pickerington Road in the middle of a field, there's this radio tower. So our city of license was CD 1025 Baltimore, Columbus, because that's the city of license. The ownership, who actually owns the license, they're out in Zanesville. And that's a media group that has radio, television, and newspapers, WHIZ. And this is just one of their properties. So we were leasing that license from them, just as, other people lease,
Sure.
apartments or cars, or I was leasing a license.
Got it.
So, the only thing I technically own is the intellectual property of WWCD, so all this stuff from the trucks and the logo and, all the parts and pieces to broadcast, but not the license. So, it's like driving my car without a license.
Right.
You don't get to do that, though. I can't broadcast that one because the FCC really frowns on pirate radio.
And there was a point in time
Frowns.
over the history of the radio station where you did try to purchase said
Yes, well,
license.
and that's right, and that was actually, the end goal was to not rent my apartment,
Right.
but to buy a condo,
Right.
buy a house, live there, and do this forever. But the problem is that they're expensive. Radio is not cheap. It is not a working man's, game. And I'm a working guy.
Right.
I work 80 hours a week. I work 100 hours a week.
You're freaking tireless. I mean,
Well,
as long as I've known you've I've never been with you when you've woken up, as far as you know, people. but as long as I've known you, you just strike me as a type of individual that once you're up, man, it's go until you go
Right,
down.
right.
And I don't imagine you going down
No,
for very long.
My brain doesn't stop much. I as a kid diagnosed with ADHD, ADD, hyperactive.
I think we discussed this in the
Right.
first podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
So that makes it, so that makes me good at certain things, not good at other things. But so I'm a go guy. So I work, and, hard work, get stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
So the overall goal was to purchase the
get
license.
something done, ask a busy guy.
Right.
Right.
So yes, absolutely. The overall goal was to purchase the license so that I can continue to do this in perpetuity. I like this job. I like being part of the community. I like helping artists. I like being involved with the music industry. I have no saleable musical talents per se myself. I played the clarinet and I can pick up a stand-up.
Prove it.
Well, you played the clarinet.
I did, actually,
I don't
yes.
think we discussed that in the first podcast.
Yes, I played the clarinet.
It's a huge oversight.
I would have brought one. I have one at home.
The only thing I was growing up as a kid when my grandmother used to watch Lawrence Welk.
Lawrence
Welk.
I want a hole.
Yeah, and now a lovely song from Myron Florin and his clarinet, and it would be Myron Florin and his clarinet, and my grandmother would just be captivated for however long Myron played.
I don't know if I would captivate your grandmother, but at least it would be entertaining. I'm not gonna lie.
Can you still?
I could probably play "I Love You Truly" because I think that's one of those things like the alphabet, like scales. I could probably go like.
Hot cross
But
buns.
over the course of your history, when you've had these amazing musicians come into the big room,
No,
at
I have not done a
102,
session.
and
No.
at no point did you go, hang on, let me get my clarinet.
No. No.
Like-
I may have played, tambourine or an egg.
Shaker.
And all I can picture is you like dashing off to your office, and everybody in the band going, "Is he fucking serious? Is he really gonna get a clarinet?"
And my staff's going, yes, he is.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
But I don't have any saleable talent when it comes to singing or songwriting or anything. So my brush with fame is, being in the industry. I'm the marketing guy. I'm the promotions guy that, I just kept working and, by attrition became the boss eventually.
Right.
Because I just outworked everybody and that's kind of how it happened. It's kind of dumb luck, to be honest. You work hard and there you go.
You work hard.
You work harder.
Wind up buying a radio station.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So again, the path was always to purchase the license. And, the lease had a finite amount of time on it. So we worked diligently, my family and, we worked diligently to try and come to an agreement. But, unfortunately, the reality is that, sometimes deals are just not made to be struck. and did not have the ability. Tried, but it's very hard to try and find someone that wants to invest in a radio station because it's not really hip and cool technology to everybody. You can see athletes and rock stars who will invest in a restaurant that has a failure rate of like 99%.
Right.
But a radio station that's been around for 30 years, well, not so much.
Yeah.
Which I always found to be intriguing, at the same time frustrating.
Yeah, because for how many, literally decades now, since even when I was in radio, have people spoke of the demise of the format, the end of radio.
Yes.
When you mentioned, the guy from Sirius earlier, when satellite radio was coming on, that's it.
Right.
We're done.
Terrestrial radio was finished. It's done. It's over. And no.
Which,
Still,
by the way, they have
90
commercials on XM now. It drives me bonkers.
Yes. It's still 90% of people use radio on a daily basis.
Right.
In one form or another. So unfortunately, I was unable to come to an agreement to continue, and because there was no path for ownership. And that's the whole thing, I don't want to rent an apartment all my life.
Right.
I just don't want to do that. So that sort of was the impetus to say, okay, so where are we going to go next? How is this? What's the next alliteration of this?
It leaves you at the mercy of whoever owns that signal.
Completely, absolutely. Because I have a landlord.
You have
basically.
a landlord.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Because again, it's not my anything that's beyond the walls of my building is not mine. So I can't just go out to the transmitter to go make a cool adjustment or fix something because I have to have permission to do that, and it's not mine to do.
Right.
And that's it's okay. It's what it is. I know what I bought into. I knew the rules and I know what I signed up for. But it just again, it was just unable.
Is it too personal to ask why you couldn't come to terms?
Well, there was no path for ownership.
There was no path for
Well,
ownership.
but I don't. Again, radio's not cheap, and I just
Right.
I don't have that financial ability to do that. I didn't have the ability to purchase it. I mean, I tried over,
I know you did.
for 10 years, but again, I didn't have the means to do it. I needed to have people invest or, and some buy-in to it. Even banks. You can't get a bank to give you something, money without a fairly large portion down, and as well as radio is a very unique thing because if you think about it, it's kind of intangible. Even though the license is like, okay, you get a license, but it's not like it's a piece of paper that I'm going to hand you. It's air. So you literally have a license to broadcast on air. So,
yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's why it's always funny when you, selling advertisement, it takes a special person because you have to have the passion and understand it. And good sellers sell Eskimos ice cream. Okay. That's, you can sell anybody anything, but it requires something a little different than a print ad because, you can hold that print ad up and say, here it is. You can stick it on the wall and there it is.
Right.
But I have to bring a commercial that I say, here, listen. And it has to invoke a passion and an emotion that you can sell. You have to sell the sizzle to that advertiser, which in turn then sells that sizzle to the audience.
Correct.
You have to evoke that passion in the audience. But the reason that radio still works so much is that, think about that sing song of how you learn stuff. It's how you learn your alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And people can sing the Gilligan's Island theme and the Brady Bunch theme and the Flintstones theme and every theme from every show that you knew when you were a kid growing up, because that song, that sing song, it embeds in your brain
funny.
Differently.
I was watching a repeat of Maude.
Right.
In the middle
And then
of the
there's
night last
Maude.
night, and I knew every word of the theme
Right.
song,
Right. And it just repeats over and
Lady
over.
Godiva was a freedom rider.
Yes.
She was a sister who really could. Joan of Arc with
Right.
the Lord to guide her.
I have no
See?
idea what you're talking about.
and again, try not to tangent too much, but music and song has such an emotional connection to people. You never talk about, oh, that was my podcast. No offense.
No
or
offense
that was my
taken.
TV show, or that was my newspaper article. You say that was our song.
Right.
And a song and music can take you back in time and transport you, and it transcends time and space.
So emotional.
I can remember that anytime I hear to this day the song Dance This Mess Around, 52 Girls by the B-52s, it takes me back to 1982 to Scotch Plains, New Jersey, at a Halloween party where I met Stephanie Camp.
Damn.
And was just enamored with this girl. And, her sister dragged her away, but I never forgot her. And like a year later, while we were up in the Watchung Reservation in Watchung, New Jersey, we may have been eating mushrooms.
May have been, maybe, who knows?
In the pine forest. And I came across this girl painting at the waterfall, Stephanie Camp.
No.
And I was like, so I right away said, "Hi, Stephanie, Randy, I met you." And she was like, "Oh my God, so to see you, great." Got her phone number, and we basically started dating for the next 4 years.
Wow.
How? And the reason I even came to Ohio is because of her. Because she went to college at OU, and we used to fly out here on the weekends and
Right.
visit her. And then when I went back to school, I finished school in New Jersey. When I came back to school, I went to The Ohio State University. We had broken up, but that's how I got introduced to Columbus, Ohio.
Did the song ever come back up over the course of those 4 years?
Oh yeah,
As a couple?
But I mean, like it didn't really mean anything to her per
No.
se, but it did to me.
I'm saying, but it
Yes.
meant something to you. Did you
Yes.
ever bring it up over the
Oh,
course of the
absolutely, yes.
relationship? Say, this song,
Yes.
this was my song for you. Mm-hmm. And what'd she say?
Oh yeah, she goes, "That's right, that was playing that night."
I was playing at night. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Exactly,
Anyway.
that's nice. I'm like, damn it.
Anyway,
Damn it.
it's not my song. It's nice that it's your song. Anywho,
Right. But yeah, music. I mean, it does. I mean, if you think about it, music
Yeah.
evokes such emotion. It's like that smell of grandma's cookies.
right?
No.
No.
Or the smell of whiskey that reminds me of my abusive dad. Kidding. Yeah, on Veterans Day, on my dad's birthday. So I'm just kidding, Dad. Just kidding.
God
He was
bless him.
he was a comedian, and believe me, he would have totally
He-
pulled
he-
that
he-
joke
he'd-
himself.
He'd
He would
be chuckling right
he would
now.
be chuckling right now. He probably is.
Yeah.
Calling me an asshole.
Yeah.
Calling you a jackass. There you go, Jack Malloy.
To Jack Malloy. Oh, I'm gonna need more whiskey.
Cheers.
But yeah, so you know what? There was just no path to ownership.
Okay.
And that's the truth of it. Nothing more, nothing less.
So there had to have been a clock that was ticking.
Oh, absolutely.
That right?
Yes, the sword
Where-
of Damocles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Dangling over my head like a giant,
There
sword.
was a clock that was ticking, and while that clock is ticking, I can't even fathom all the things that you would have to handle, cover, answer to once the clock hit that midnight hour and the station was off the airways. We're talking about a station that's been around for what, 30 years?
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah, 30 years in August.
30 years in August.
Yes.
Okay, 30
Yes.
years. Station's been on for 30 years. Has produced some iconic personalities in our city. Andy Man.
Yep.
Has done a tremendous amount of goodwill for the community. Has been voted favorite radio station. I don't know how many years out of the 30.
1 or 29.
1 or 29, So while that clock is ticking, your mind, at least my mind would be reeling as to how am I going to address all this to the people, the fans, the listeners, my staff, was the staff in the loop the whole time?
No. I mean, again, honestly,
Were you protective?
well,
Is that the wrong word?
Well, sure, all of it. Philosophically, I can answer an age-old question. Do you want to know the moment you're going to die, or do you want to get hit by a bus?
Yeah.
I'll take being hit by the bus.
Right.
Because, having something that, there's a finite potential that's coming. I'm going to live my life to this. You don't. It's hard because, you think about that and it becomes something that becomes overwhelming. I didn't let it become that. It was just because, all right, look, it's a date and, we're going to keep negotiating right to the end. And we did. We tried to go right to the end. And when negotiations broke down at the end, I was like, okay, well, this is going to be real. So that's, and we didn't tell the staff until it was, till it was right toward the end because there's no reason to.
Right.
I'm like, I don't need to drag people's emotions through anything. This is my shit, not theirs.
What was the reaction?
Honestly,
I mean, other than obviously disappointment and
we not. Honestly, we will run through walls for you. We got it. We'll run through fire.
how incredible is that?
You know what? I
Is that not a testament to the man that's
yeah,
running
but I'm not
things?
shocked. I'm not shocked because the people that work there and that have worked there over the years, I mean, we're all very different. We always have been, because we're not accountants, we're not lawyers, so we're not CPAs. We all didn't take Stat 660. We all didn't, take, Econ 400. We all didn't take the same law classes. So very different, very diverse. But the glue that binds everybody is the passion for music. So that's not stopped and that's not changed. We're still playing music. And, it's like, well, you're streaming now. And it's like, we have been streaming. We have been streaming for over 2 years.
Right.
Well, that's a good point. There's
right.
probably a majority of people right now that listen to radio via the internet, via the app,
Well,
via their Alexa anyway.
Right. I mean, I have some people that said, they're like, okay, like this isn't going to disrupt my routine at all, because I get up in the morning and say, Alexa, play CD 1025, and they say we listen during our morning coffee.
Especially now, the drive commute with with COVID, people aren't driving around.
Right,
habits are changing,
and we'll get into
that trending
when you made the complete switch up, which was already in place.
Right.
So
but we were already streaming.
But you're already streaming, so this wasn't
so
like
we already had
we got to build it from the ground up
and
start up. It was already there.
Yes.
So
it's just I found I have a lot of equipment in the back office now that I'm not using.
Right. It's like you knew you were
museum.
It's like you knew you were getting evicted, but you knew you had a place to stay.
Right.
As soon as you were out of one place, you're not homeless.
Yeah, homeless.
The station's not homeless by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
And yet, people did feel abandoned.
Oh, we've had over almost 1 million engagements on social media.
Wow.
In like a week's time. Which to me was that I didn't expect that much. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, the shares, the likes, the tweets, the posts, the emails, just everything. Overwhelming. I mean, you want to talk about market research? You can't pay for this kind of stuff. Seriously. We know everybody's opinion. And yes, some people were not that happy.
Well, there's some people that, me being the dinosaur that I am, there's probably a lot of people that just won't take the next step and go and stream it and are used to listening to it in their car.
Oh, sure.
Or in their antique clock radio that's sitting by the bed, that, whatever the case might be. So when you say, is leaving the FM airwaves, in their mind, then it's over.
Oh, right. And again, I mean, the gambit of emotions that we got from the audience was, I cried, I'm so sad, to, you suck.
You suck. Why you suck?
Oh, my God. Well, I mean, it's a perfect example. And just so you know, we're going to videotape every single mean post and mean tweet we got and make YouTube videos out of them. Because some of them are just epic.
Beautiful.
Just
are there any you could share?
Well, I mean, just one example. One example was like, your medium is dead, and I look forward to your slow demise.
Wow.
Nice.
And of course, my response is, my medium, Madam Fatima died. My spiritual advisor.
My spirit is gone.
Right, my medium's gone. Tan-ahoy.
Tan-ahoy. Wow, that's a blast from the past.
Pull that one out.
Yeah, nice reference. Tan-ahoy. Yeah.
Or just destroying the weekend staff. Talking about Adam and Nate and Bailey, and I'm going to make them read it, but I mean, they're going to have to read them a couple times before they can say it without going, seriously?
Seriously?
What the fuck? Because they're brutal.
Were there any that attacked you personally?
I didn't read all of them yet because there's literally thousands.
Yeah.
And I didn't say, find the ones that attacked me and let me read them. I have not gotten there intentionally.
Do you feel like there might be some?
I don't know. Well, I mean, there was one that I found particularly amusing about, it was sort of saying, well, that sucks. I'm not getting up and listening anymore, in my 1999 Ford F-150 or in my barn, this time, or in my basement when I'm doing this, and Brian Phillips for 4 hours every morning. I hope that Brian Phillips, finds a company that cares about him and, lands on his feet because, that's just, you guys suck. And I'm like, Okay, so Brian will be reading that mean tweet.
Yeah, right.
And you're probably going, "Wait, am I fired? Did I lose my job?" And
He's such a nice guy. Brian Phillips.
It seems to be, and I always bitched about this when I was on the radio. It's the half reader, it's the half listener who doesn't listen to the whole explanation or read the entire explanation and makes a judgment call before they've gotten all of the information that they should have.
Yeah, come on, we get that all the time.
I know that.
You can put, we digressing. We put something on the air about when the first issue started with the Black Lives Matters movements, and people were very passionate about it, and we had a thing on the air talking about thanking the hospital workers and the first responders for helping, and we got like mail about, I can't believe that you're promoting the police. I'm like, we're talking about the doctors and nurses helping people with COVID. We're not making any political statements here.
But people associate the term first responders with police and fire.
Right. It's like, what? It's like, please just listen. But you know what? See, the thing is, honestly, why I find it interesting to say the least is, it's passion, though. Whether they're saying, we're so sad, we're so sorry, or fuck you, it's passion. That to me is what I love about what I do, because it evokes passion. Music, it evokes passion in people. You listen to a song and you love it, you hate it. You can look at a piece of artwork and go, eh. But think about music. You're like, oh my God, I love that song. Or, oh my God, I hate that song. Yeah. And it really does. And so, to me, every one of the comments, whether good, bad, or indifferent, I will take to heart and will respond to every one of them and tell them to buy a T-shirt and, tell them that, we're here. We didn't go anywhere. It's the same people, but again, it's the passion. So I actually love that. I love that. I think it's okay for people to share that. Mm-hmm. It's cathartic because people are sad. It's different. It's a change. People don't like change.
No, they do not like change.
No, not at all.
We've gone through a shitload of change here.
I mean, this year has been nothing but change.
Nothing but change and adjustment.
And just hardship and
disappointment and frustration and one thing after the other. And boom, boom, boom. And it doesn't,
so this just sort of compounds that.
But let me go back to that word passion, because outside looking in, it seems to me that the passion of your people at your radio station is definitely a driving force to continue to succeed.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, I've said this once and I'll say it 100 times. I am not an island. I don't get to do this by myself. I've never said I could. I will never say I can. So it's a team effort from the word go.
And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, because I've known you for a lot of years, but it kind of does speak to your character. There's probably a lot of people in corporate America that would fall into a situation like this and might not have the same passion and resilience to say, as you said earlier, I'll go through fire for you. I'll go through walls for you.
Well,
there's probably that you can't say that about every company that would
not.
Do that for the owner and the man in charge.
We're a small business.
It's a small business, big business. It doesn't matter. It's still about a man at some point. It's still about a leader. It's still about an individual that you believe in, that you trust, and that you think, hey, if anybody's going to figure this shit out, I believe in that guy. I'm in. Like I said, not blowing smoke up your ass.
No, I get it.
It's a credit to your character.
Yeah, I know. I just don't.
I know you don't like to hear it.
Yeah,
You're a humble guy.
I'm not good at that. I'm an egomaniac.
No,
but I'm just not good at that.
You're a humble egomaniac. You're an egomaniac.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm an egomaniac.
If there is such a thing,
right? But I don't take.
You're an egomaniac that loves to hear it, so he can say, please.
I don't take compliments well.
I'm giving you a shit.
No, I know. I appreciate that. I just don't take compliments well, because I have a very, I don't feel that way about myself. I have that insecurity of that.
Trust me.
So I don't feel that way.
Are you kidding me?
I know.
The crown is inside. The king of low self-esteem, right here. I have it. I put it on every once in a while when I'm feeling really low, so I can say I'm still the king of it, though.
King of something.
I'm still the king of low self-esteem.
Right. It's funny. I believe, and I could be misquoted, and someone may say, I'm completely wrong. But it was something I've used and I've said many times. I have a little ball chain, like for like a string chain for like pulling lights on and off. I'm talking about the little tiny beads that are connecting the chain. I used to carry around in my pocket, like a 12-inch length of it. And you put it on a table and you stretch it out. And if you put your fingers at the very last one and you say, if you grab this, now if you stand in the back and you kind of say, go do this, go do this, go do this, and you point there and you start pushing this thing in a zigzag, what happens is when you get done, you've got a bunched up chain. It just bunches in this little ball and it's like a clusterfuck.
Okay.
But if you do the same thing and you stretch that chain out and you grab the end, but instead of pushing, you say, come with me. Come on, I'll do this. And you start dragging that chain, all the little balls just follow it. Exactly. Every direction you go, it follows you like a snake zigzagging in the sand. And to me, that's how I always saw. I'm like, well, that's how you should do it. Standing back there and saying, go do that, go do that, go do that. Well, I don't want that.
No.
So I don't want someone to do it to me, so I don't do that to anybody else.
So you lead by example.
Yeah, you have to stand there in front. You have to, if you're the general, you have to take the charge. You have to get on the horse that goes first, and you have to go into battle face first. If there's a meat grinder, you're going to go, oh, that's going to suck.
Yeah.
But let's go. And you go to it. Because that's
whatever you say, General Custer.
Delicious.
It sounds like a good plan.
Right, but exactly. And again, it's right. It is. So, but to me, I guess you sort of have to be that way, though.
Yeah.
Because if you just push from behind, then no one, it's easy for someone to go, well, you don't do it.
Okay, so despite the fact that
I learned it from you, Dad. I learned it from you.
despite the fact that you were already streaming,
Yes.
when you shifted over, completely,
Yep.
to streaming, there had to have been some trepidation, modifications. This is now that we're all in this now.
Yes.
How has that changed? The feel and the day to day.
Well, not much day to day. I mean, I have a lot less equipment I have to use,
Right.
Because I don't have this whole broadcast path of
Right.
this ISDN and fiber and all these other things that
Are people still doing their shows?
Yep.
At the
Well, I mean, because of COVID, we have all
I
sorts of
understand
weird
that.
protocols, and some people are in, some people aren't in. But
So-
yes, nothing's changed in that respect.
Right.
Yep. Brian still does his morning show. And
So he can still go in there and
Yep.
feel at home. He's
Yep.
got everything that he's loved for
Absolutely.
as many years as he's been there that
Yep.
surround him, that make him comfortable,
Yep.
that make him feel like this is still what I do.
Yep.
It's just going out there in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, that's cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
so we still use the studios. I mean, we've got 3 studios. We still have the main studio and production studio and 2B, and
Mm-hmm.
we still do that. And people still cut commercials and still make drops and do all the stuff.
Everybody's
they
still
normally
doing
do.
what they do.
They're doing what they do. Salespeople sell, and honestly,
How has that been?
Honestly,
Is there a stigma now that
No, I mean it's funny. We've actually had some advertisers who are like, "Cool, all right, no problem." Like, yeah, we'll spend more. I'm like, okay, because I can give them hard metrics and say, here we go. I had this many people streaming this time, and they're all here. I'm like, that's cool. We'll do that.
Does
during
the
your
fact that
message.
you're just streaming now, because I just recently read an article where everybody's talking about digital media is the way to go and streaming is the way to go, and I can only relate this to podcasts.
Sure.
Okay, I can't relate it to what you do as a radio station, but podcast listening, damn it, is down. Right now, it's down across the board. Maybe not the top 5 or 10 podcasts that are out, not the Joe Rogans of the world and so forth and so on. But in general, it's down because people are seeking other alternatives in addition to podcasts to entertain themselves.
Whiskey.
Yeah, whiskey, right?
Yeah.
But how do you?
Well, I mean, radio.
How do you gauge how successful? You mentioned analytics and so forth. How do you gauge how successful or not successful things will be going as you move forward?
Well, it's funny. We started to push more towards social media outlets that we use. Been doing distanced concerts in the big room with bands because, bands aren't able to play in front of people. And again, good old governor today said, hey, you're going to have less chance to go see bands with people. Because,
and no dancing.
Right,
No
and
dancing.
And no dancing.
God damn it, no dancing.
Foot loose. Everybody cut foot loose.
So, so we'll this distance. But I mean, in 90 days, we're up 7,000% on our YouTube channel. So I mean, that's only up about 1,000 more subscribers, but that's good.
That's good. It's
Right.
up.
Yeah, it's
Up is good.
It's up, and our viewing is up by again hundreds of percent, and we're seeing more people every day because I have 750 videos of bands back 30 years.
So
And as we start to make more content, and we'll do things that on more social media, on Instagram, and like live broadcasts. So Grayson can do his shift streaming as well as virtual, so people can watch it and be part of that. And there's a different connection to it.
That's what I told you the other day. Like, I think it might be very little of any support, but I was like, I think in a weird way, this is actually you're getting ahead of the trend. I think more and more things needs to be.
A lot of people are. I mean, think about that people like again, podcasting. Sure, it's down, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 5 years ago, it's right.
It exploded. It's up. It's down
up.
from right
pre-COVID numbers.
Right,
are weird for everything right now.
So, is this now? Is it too soon to say maybe this was a blessing in disguise?
Is
it too soon to say, look, this because you mentioned all these YouTube numbers that are up and all these viewings that are up.
We were
these
headed
analytics.
in that direction anyway. I wanted to push more of the video content because I've said it forever that we are a reality TV show.
Right.
I mean, we are WKRP in Cincinnati in real life. I mean, we really
I'd watch that show for sure.
I mean, the insane
WWCD.
leader in charge, and
Right.
then we've got these weird personalities. I mean, everyone at the radio station is, like I said, uniquely different. We're not a bunch of accountants. And there's always stuff going on. And, maybe right now there isn't that sort of cachet to it. But, I mean, there's rock stars that come walking in on a, weekly basis. Okay, here's, like, look, there's Josh Homme of, and there's Dave Grohl, and and there's the guys from Fits of the Tantrums, and there's Modest Mouse and Silver Sun Pickups,
and all their stuff's been streaming for
exactly.
So this is
Who
nothing
would be
new.
Bailey? Who's Bailey over there at the station?
Bailey, she's
Yeah.
one of my weekend DJs.
Oh, yeah.
And again, who got lambasted by someone.
Really?
Oh,
So everybody got a
Josh.
taste. Everybody got a taste.
oh yeah. I don't think anybody was unscathed.
Nobody left unscathed.
No,
Nobody.
Oh, no, I was talking about KRP.
I
The
think
KRP
that-
wasn't there, Bailey.
You would
Yes,
almost
there was.
feel.
Yeah,
You would
that's
almost
what I-
feel left out.
She's the one I had a crush on.
If
Oh,
you left
yeah.
unscathed.
Oh, no.
I'm not perfect. Why didn't they pick on me?
Right. No, everyone got picked on.
Well, that's nice. That's nice. That's nice. We all got picked on.
Special.
Everybody's hated. Come on, group hug.
But no, it's sure. Is it ahead of the curve? I mean, sure, maybe.
I find it interesting. Hansberry said, you got ahead of it, but it's interesting that since you mentioned a lot of things that you don't have to do now with the daily operations of being on FM radio,
Right.
How it's allowed you now to focus on these other things that
Right.
you've been talking about
Right.
for months and
Well,
years
I
that we
mean,
need to do. So
Funny, we joke about it all the time, is that, there's rules. When you're broadcasting with an FM license, you are ruled by the FCC.
Correct.
The Federal Communications Commission.
Right.
And there are very specific rules of things I can and can't do.
Right.
Like I can't say fuck during the daytime.
Right.
God
I
damn
can't take weed money because that is not allowed. The state may say it's okay, but federally it's still a crime.
Still a
so
crime.
you can't take weed money.
And
You
now?
can't- now, of course I can. So
can take weed
give me the
money.
weed money. We
Give
joke
the-
about it. The 420 break brought to you by Weed
Weed
Money.
Weed money.
No fucking weed money.
And as far as the language,
tune into that.
has anybody in your staff taken advantage of the?
No,
of
because
the-
again, we still have people that listen, and we're not going to suddenly just,
Just
we're
say
not
it for
going
the
to
sake of
drive.
saying it.
Yeah, we're not going to drive off the tracks and
Right,
just
right, right.
become,
Yeah.
just insanity.
Howard Stern all of a
exactly,
sudden.
right. We're not just going to drive off the
Strippers.
tracks and be like,
even
freedom!
Stern doesn't do it gratuitously
Exactly.
anymore.
But we don't have to play the radio edits anymore.
Right.
So if there happens to be an F-bomb or something dropped in the song, we don't have to be like, beep.
You take it. You
We
just
can
let
play
it.
it.
Let it run.
Right.
Well, that's got to
For
be
better or worse.
That's but
Right.
that's got to be
freeing
on a
yes,
on a
yes.
certain level.
It is.
That's got to make
It
you
is.
just exhale.
I don't have to do top of the hour IDs anymore, so I don't have to worry about how the hour plays out. Because in radio you have, it's 15-minute segments. The top of the hour ID has to be there for those legal reasons. And
Legal reasons.
You got your 15-minute. Now it's just like it's a free for all. We still want to identify where we are, but I don't have to worry about making sure the song fits into that 1 hour window. If you want to slide it, go for it. So we get to play a little freedom that way.
And how's your on-air staff feel about that?
They're fine with it.
I mean,
Oh,
has it been like, this is kind of fun?
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Who was like, what? We had to do legal ID?
Right.
What?
It's a different energy. It's a different energy, and yeah, it's fun because
So it's invigorating in a way.
It is invigorating, and it's funny because when I started, I was the wide-eyed 20-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm the hang dog-eyed 50-year-old. But
Easy.
but I have a bunch of my coworkers are a bunch of 20-year-olds. There's a group of them, and they have this exuberance and this passion and this sort of new excitement because it's like, oh my God, I so want to do this. And we're sort of, I feel like honestly, like it was in the old CD 101 days, this sort of path of discovery. Because again, it's still new, it's the same stuff we've been doing, but now it's completely different.
Right.
So it's like discovery. So, well, let's give it a try. I actually talked to an old friend, Chip Morgan, who's a broadcast engineer. He's up in Burlington, Vermont now, or somewhere in Vermont, middle of nowhere. And he always would say, "Hey, it's just a suggestion," and we joke about that all the time, and I give him credit because it's like, well, I was like, give it a shot. Just a suggestion.
Just a suggestion.
Right, just a suggestion.
See where it goes.
Right, see where it goes.
Yeah.
Right,
See what happens.
If it doesn't work, well, okay. It's sort of like that Thomas Edison thing. I didn't, fail trying to make a light bulb 999 times.
Mm-hmm.
I figured out how to do it one time.
So it's pretty amazing
like
that,
that, I
this
It's on a coaster somewhere.
It is, right? It's
I
on
also,
somewhere.
I also love the fact that, and this is me incorporating a little bit of a drama into it. I love if you had to go off the air, you went off the air on what, Halloween?
Oh yeah,
Halloween night,
full moon,
blue moon,
right? October 31st.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Everything. I mean, could there been
3
a
days
more,
before the biggest election in history.
Oh, my
right?
God.
Could there been
Oh,
a more incredible, appropriate way
Right.
to go out?
Right, yes.
As opposed to that. I
Yes.
mean, and maybe and I think I did I send this to you? Did I tell you what the whole blue moon and the Halloween moon? Did I send that to you?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. What it meant that it was that supposedly for those who are more in touch with their spiritual selves that
a cleansing and a rebirth.
cleansing and a rebirth.
Yes. You did send that.
I did send
Yes.
that to you. Yeah. And I said, I think I said if anybody can come out on the other end of this with a rebirth and a new glow, so to speak, it would be you.
Yeah.
It would be you, without a doubt.
Did I tell you? So
Well, I still use my weed
Halloween.
money CBD oil on a
Yeah,
daily
right.
basis.
Yeah, that's the weed talking. So I got a text from Dino like that morning, being like, "Hey, tonight's the night," and I was like, "Ah, shit." So my buddy Jason was over. We were watching the Buckeye game, Halloween night, and I keep turning it on. I have 2 radios in the house, one like an old stereo, and then one out in the garage. So finally, I'm start texting Randy a little bit, and I was like, "Can I request a song?"
You
so,
did.
So me and my buddy Jason requested Talking Head
I was gonna
song,
say, you
and then my
requested Talking Heads.
and then my wife and her friend were like, we were playing the radio really loud, and they're like, "Get the fuck out of here, go in the garage." So me and Jason are sitting in the garage on Halloween night, sitting around listening to the radio. and they played Talking Heads, and we were like two high school kids, giddy as fuck. They're playing it. They played it.
Did you guys dance?
We danced.
You danced. You danced.
Pre-COVID.
You danced.
And and they gave us a shout out. They're like, that one's out to Greg. And dude, like you would have thought, like we won the fucking lottery. And it was this bittersweet moment. It was a lot of fun, and it was a good way to go out. And it just was a cool bittersweet moment that reminded me why I like radio. You know, those listening, growing up, listening to the countdowns and calling in, requesting songs.
There's something very, very,
awesome.
very sweet about all of it. Now, will you continue to do all the charity stuff that you guys have
of
done?
course. We have the Andy Manathon coming up.
Yeah.
It actually starts Monday when we start talking about it for coming up in December. You know, auction Edamos, raising money for local children's charities. Absolutely. Helping Andy's kids. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's wonderful.
Well, again, you know, I mean, just because we're not on the FM dial doesn't mean that the passion has changed or the mission has changed or any of that. You know, I mean, we still want to do stuff for, you know, the kids. We still want to do stuff for bands. We still want to do stuff for, you know, the arts community. And, you know, I'm still going to go set up Fence at Comfest when we can set up Fence at Comfest. And, you know.
And even though I am a dinosaur when it comes to technology, a self-admitted dinosaur,
a Luddite is the proper terminology.
How amazing and fortunate are we or are you that you can make that seamless switch over?
Oh, right.
You know, as opposed to 20 years ago, where if this would have happened, you know, 20 some years ago,
sure,
that's it.
Right.
Done.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Fold up shop and go home.
Even when the pandemic hit, you know, we were like, okay, we got to close offices. And it was Friday the 13th, again, which is this Friday coming up is Friday the 13th, by the way.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I've not done the math.
Well, math given.
Okay.
So March 13th was Friday the 13th.
Which I consider to be a lucky day.
Well, there you go. Well, you got a lucky day coming in a couple days.
I consider Friday the 13th to be a lucky day.
Unless you don't tell people when you record, so.
Yeah.
Now that I've blown that out. Crap.
That's all right.
Edit that out, Greg.
Nah,
more work.
Fine.
But the...
Market.
You know, the truth is, so when we had to go remote, it was like, okay, so DJs, can we figure out how to broadcast from home? And we did. I mean, it was by the seat of our pants. It literally was like, all right, how are we going to make this work? And it was actually more frightening, frustrating, and scary than this was by any sense of the imagination.
Sure.
Because, you know, this was like, oh, this is, you know, just do what we do and this and this and this. But to suddenly say, okay, everyone has to go home, we have to be remote and still do all our shifts and our shows and figure out how to do production. And I'm like,
that's a far bigger obstacle.
How do we coordinate this? Okay. Who's going to do it?
Far more work involved.
Right. And we figured it out, you know, and seamlessly. It wasn't like we were off the air for days trying to go, we don't know what to do. You know, so we figured it out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it really wasn't that big of a deal. And, you know, this too shall pass. You know, people will get used to it, and people will get new people, and will, you know, some people will go away because they don't want to, you know, move to different technology. You know, I'm not using my phone like some 30-year-old. Well, that was one of the bad tweets as well, you know. Oh, so you can make me like one of these hipster 30-year-olds. I'm going to have to listen to one of them. It's like, hipster 30-year-olds? Like,
yeah,
really?
I'm sorry I sent that.
I was going to say,
That was Dino.
hipster 30-year-old? I'm like, all right. You know, so.
No, man.
Right. You would have asked you or Greg to do it. So
Is there as we start to wrap up? Is there anything that you would like to cover that we might not have covered? Anything you want to say to you know? Because like I said, this is a situation that's not just here in Columbus, Ohio. It's something that's happening across the country at radio stations. But for those who do listen to our podcast, live here in Columbus, Ohio, and love and are faithful to your station.
And I appreciate that, and I you know, I
as we wrap up, is there anything you want to say to them?
Well, I mean, you know, honestly, you know, the big thing is I just, you know, I want the audience to know that, you know, we haven't gone away.
No,
and we don't care any less about people. You know, I'm sorry that we disappointed people, and you know, some people aren't happy, and you know, that's, you know, I get it. You know, it's not like, you know, we intended to make people unhappy.
No.
You know, that wasn't our goal or our desire in any way, shape, or form. You know, it's evolution. You know, it's evolution.
It's a good way to put it, evolution.
You know,
yeah.
It's evolution. We got to
and evolution moves forward
Yeah.
and progresses.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, it's just evolution. We have to evolve. It's sort of the way the world was going, and we just got nudged out of the nest a little bit more.
Nudged out
most.
of one nest,
Well,
but
right.
now you're in a different.
Exactly.
Now you're building a new
Hey.
nest in a different tree, and
Right, we
and-
learned how to fly.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I'm no longer bound by the terrestrial walls. Plus weed money.
Weed money. Weed money.
Plus weed money.
In closing, I'm going to ask. I did not talk to the boys earlier in the podcast. Before we go, Hansberry's got to do some of the business. But our guest bottle has been Redemption Bourbon, and as I said earlier in the podcast, I picked it for a reason because even though this whole switch over to completely streaming is still relatively new. I mean, it's only been a handful of weeks since this happened. I do believe that you, Randy Malloy, will get your redemption.
Now, see, I don't know. I was like, redemption, is that like a good thing?
No, redemption. It is a good thing. You know, because
I need to redeem myself.
No, you don't need to redeem yourself, but you'll get redemption for all the hard work you put in.
Okay.
For the fact that you've been faithful,
All
for
right.
the fact that you've been honest, for the fact that you've been, this leader that people, as I said before, that you said that would walk through fire, that would go through walls for you.
Well, I pay them, so I mean that
you
helps.
do pay them, but you know what I'm saying.
I know.
You know what I'm saying. Again,
remember,
yeah,
not good
you're
at
not
taking
taking
right. I'm
compliments.
not good at taking compliments.
All right,
Sorry.
so the guest bottle, Redemption Bourbon, nicely priced in this COVID world at under $25 a bottle, 84 proof, high corn content, so it gives it a really nice smooth vanilla almost taste to it before
It's
all
real
said
drinkable.
and done, and very drinkable. And we have not had community ice out here because of COVID.
It's also cold enough for no need for
we
ice.
don't
to
need
it.
it.
We've been drinking it neat.
I heated mine up, actually.
I can't do the podcast without the incredible video talents of the amazing John Whitney. There's the thumb that's launched 1,000 podcasts. And, of course, the audio skills and talents of Greg Hansberry. A little business Hansberry before we wrap up.
WhiskeyBusinessPod.com is your source for everything whiskey business, videos, audio, pictures, blogs. Start there for all of our archive stuff. YouTube, Dino, search for Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. Subscribe right there, please, and thank you, and click the little bell notification, and you'll get an update every time that we post something new. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We were getting ready to finish up signing the paperwork for Quibi, and they went under. So we were right there. We were getting ready to Quibi that, and that was going to be our big break.
And they won Emmys, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
They won Emmys.
Yeah.
And,
Well, they're not going to be using those. Maybe we can ask to borrow them.
Can I borrow them?
Borrow the
Can I
Emmys?
borrow your Emmys?
Also, I want to mention something else that is also on Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. We have a short film out there directed by the amazing John Whitney called Spitballin'. That's on our Whiskey Business YouTube channel, which has gotten a lot of views, and we hope to get even more views. If you haven't checked it out yet, check it
absurdly
out.
funny.
Two frustrated screenwriters who have a germ of an idea, and then it escalates into just complete absurdity and donkeys and whatnot. It is a nice bit. If you were a fan of the Aristocrats, you've heard that story. The joke, the Aristocrats. It's kind of it kind of pays a little bit of unintentional homage to that because it just continues to. You hear somebody
Just
tell
keeps ramping up.
the Aristocrats joke. Some people make it really long, and some people make it. This thing just continues to escalate with the amazing talents of Ralph Scott and the mediocre talents of myself. We
Get that crown out, Dino.
Much like you, I'm not really good at taking the compliment. But Spitballin' is available at Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis. Where else did you put it out, Whitney? You put it in a bunch of other places.
Vimeo and other sites, that's Vimeo.
Is it on WhiskeyBusinessPod.com?
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. We'll get it up.
Put it on there.
You got to figure out to put it on our website.
Yeah, because there's not really a place for it. I gotta make a page for it.
Make a page for it. Get it out there.
Okay.
Get it out there. Get it out there so more people can see it because we had a lot of fun doing
Well,
it.
you'll have to. What we'll have to do is you're going to have to come down, and we can do a Whiskey Business podcast at the big room.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
And we can do simultaneous video shoot.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
shoot whiskey business, I'll shoot a big room, and we can have multiple cameras doing multiple cameras, and then post them on both each other's YouTube pages for synergy. How's that?
This all sounds like science fiction to me. Like it's not possible. It's not
Well,
possible.
okay,
I don't
here's
know
the-
what you
here,
speak of,
I-
Mr. Wells.
Weed
Mr.
money.
H.G. Wells. You speak crazy talk, Mr. Wells.
Weed money.
I suppose you have a time machine as well.
I do have a fully stocked bar.
All right, in.
Yeah, right there. I'm
Who
there.
needs weed money?
There you go.
You
See,
got a
I was
fully
going to
stocked
say,
bar.
I know I have something that'll appeal to your sensibilities, sir. I would be with a bar. So we can have a selection of whiskey that evening.
Our guest has been my dear friend for 30 years.
Yep, yeah, 3 decades.
Randy Malloy from CD 102.5 and
WWCD.
now WWCD.
Right.
All right, I'll never get that right. I'll never get
What
that
would
right.
crazy do?
Yeah.
You can make up your own 4-digit acronym for it, you know.
But I'm glad that you're not going anywhere, brother.
No, man, I'm not doing. What am I going to do? I live here.
You're not going
You know,
anywhere.
I like Columbus.
Except up.
Except up, yes.
Except
up.
up. It's
That's
up.
just because I'm full of helium, so.
Thank you, man.
Full of something.
Thank you for having me once
The
again, my friend.
Whiskey Business is the Never the Luck production. I have been your host, Dino Tripodis. Like I said, can't do it without John Whitney and Greg Hansberry. And so, my friends, until the next bottle, see ya.